The Canadian Bitcoiners podcast is just two guys and maybe a guest or two discussing Bitcoin, Bitcoin equities, and the related macroeconomic space. It's not meant to be financial advice, so please, if you're doing any investing after listening to our program, do your own research, do your own due diligence, and understand that any money you invest can be lost. The show is meant for entertainment purposes only, and we hope you enjoy the program. Friends and enemies, StreamYard tells me we can't go live on Twitch. Doesn't matter, no one watches there anyway. My name's Joey. We got a very pleasant show planned for you tonight here at CBP. It's Tuesday. Another 3-show week. Tonight we got Plate Licking Pleb, the man who is laser focused on delivering you a great conference this year and was last year as well. And he's part of the organizing team. It was good working with him and the rest of the guys and gals last year at the conference. So we're going to talk a little bit about the wins from last year, stuff that wasn't so good last year, stuff that's on the agenda for this year, what they're looking forward to, what you should be looking forward to. And we're going to talk having a party for the having, and his fitness journey. If you follow this guy on Twitter, Plate Licking Pleb 21, I'm pretty sure, I don't know exactly what the handle is, but lot of eggs and ground beef. And I'm a big egg and ground beef guy. Like we were just talking before the show, I'm drinking milk here basically every, show that we do. A lot of protein, but I don't do the eggs and ground beef for every single meal. I can't do it. In fact, I just had a Costco toffee and chocolate chip cookie. So forgive me, baby Jesus, for that. Let's get into the sponsors. EasyDNS, best place for you to host your content. I almost said buy and sell Bitcoin. That's the second sponsor. Best place for you to host your content. Mark is the friendly neighborhood registrar, as you know. Whatever you want to do when it comes to registering a website, buying a domain, all that good stuff, you can't beat doing it with Mark and EasyDNS. And I'll tell you why. They got everything there. You want to do something to do with your online store, you can do BTC Pay Server, or also he'll help set you up with the Shopify thing, or he'll help set you up with whatever you need. You want to host some questionable content, no problem. CBP called questionable content by many a bank over the years, still up, still kicking, multiple posts every week. On top of that, you got stuff like BTC. I said BTC Pay Server. You can run a Bitcoin node. You can do a Nostr relay, Nodeless implementation, other virtual private server stuff. All there, easy to do. He'll help you with it, him and the team. Email, PGP, and GPG. I didn't even know GPG was a thing until like a couple months ago, thanks to working with Mark and doing the sponsorship reads. And man, like the number of times that I've seen Mark hop into action on a dime and help people out who are having trouble with getting registered, or they have questions or whatever, he's always there, always willing to help. And that's why we are happy to be partnered with them. If you go there and use the code CBP Media, or just tell them we sent you 50% off whatever you grab, you can't beat that. And I know that once you're there, you will not leave for a subpar service. Why would you? You're not a moron. So easydns.com, head over, tell them you came from Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. And the second sponsor, Bull Bitcoin. Some bad news today about capital gains, okay, in the budget. Most people, I think, are trying to get away from stuff like the debasing currency with Bitcoin. And Bull Bitcoin will help you do it. You can buy there, you can sell there, and do whatever you want with your Bitcoin there, pay your bills, all that stuff. A couple of things we like to talk about on the show. We'll talk about them here right now. The KYC-free option, still rolling another few weeks with the Canada Post QR code thing. You go there, you sign up, you bring your QR code to Canada Post, and pay with cash. Don't attach your name to it if you don't want. Do whatever you like on that front. I'm not saying to do it. I'm not saying not to do it. You can still sell under 1,000 very light KYC, which is great. And as always, they are the, I think, most mission-focused, best non-custodial service on the planet, not in the Canadian space, not in the North American space, on the planet. Francis and the team are guys who are not focused on anything else besides Bitcoin. So there is no other token. There is no other motivation. There is nothing except, well, I'll tell you in the chat, nothing but, Isaiah's job references. There's another reference today I just learned about from those guys, a French story about a flying canoe, which I need to look into more. Peut-être dans les deux langues officielles. And on top of that, lots of good memes about how we're doing all the wrong things in a lot of different places. Anyway, those guys are committed to the cause. So are Len and I, and we hope that you'll check them out. iwantbitcoin.ca is the link. Go there, sign up, get 20 or 21 bucks, and enjoy all the perks of the Bull Bitcoin platform. Without further ado, okay? The Plate Licker, he's here. I don't know, where should we start? I hear a little feedback there, Plate. If you want to turn your, what do you got? You have headphones? What's going on over there? This is what a bush league operation here. Like you got your own podcast, you're planning a conference. I know you're doing Zoom calls and you don't have any headphones. Anyway, what's going on? It's good to see you in any case.
Well, I'm sad I couldn't come see you in person. I was excited to, come down to the Hamilton area. I haven't been there in a while.
It would have been nice to have you, but we'll do it another time. I know you got some family obligations, which is understandable. I think maybe for the people who don't know too much about you and your role in the conference, maybe tell people a bit about who you are, what you do with these guys, and why anyone should care about, this interview, this episode of the CBP.
Yeah, well, this is the episode where you're going to hear everything about the conference next month, right? We're exactly 1 month away from the conference, right? And it's a team of 4.5, I suppose. Put together a great Bitcoin conference, right? It's year 2. A lot of your listeners, I'm sure, were there for year 1 in Toronto last year. We moved by popular demand, basically, to move out to Montreal, right? That's the Bull Bitcoin headquarters, right? Bull Bitcoin is as well our top sponsor, right? So I'm glad you had a nice ad read there before we started. Do my job for me too. But yeah, basically we're moving to Montreal. Hopefully we can have more people there. It's cheaper there, so we reduce the cost of the tickets, which was another common complaint last year. But basically just putting great content, right? An opportunity for people to gather with other, like-minded people, right? Party, network, and see some other toxic maxis, right?
That's one way to put it. Sure. Okay, let's start like this. Okay, we'll start with last year's conference. Full disclosure, obviously, you and I both played a role in that conference. I think it went off pretty well, but there was some sort of lights that were brighter than others and some that were not so bright. You guys have obviously been thinking about the things that went right last year and the things that went wrong. What do you think some of the weaknesses were last year that you want to really get out in front of this year? And then after that, we'll talk about some of the bright spots. I have a few I want to share on that front, but I'm curious to hear what you think, could have gone better last year. First conference, there's some slack to be given, but I do still want to know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the location was probably the biggest complaint. A lot of Bitcoiners like to avoid Toronto for whatever reason. So I think a lot of people, didn't really like that. I think the nature of these conferences as well are just kind of tricky too, in that it's kind of like no one wants to participate until they see the legitimacy of the event. But then as it's really, you're waiting until the last minute until, speakers want to get in on it. Until they see the legitimacy of other speakers already being part of it, right? So it's kind of always this kind of chicken or the egg type thing. So we really got that out of the way by having a successful year last year. So this year has been a lot easier for actually having that credibility already in place. But I don't know, what negatives are you talking about? You're acting as if I should know what.
I'm not sure, honestly. Like in my opinion, it went off pretty well. The only thing I would say, in addition to the location, it was hard last year to get people in the actual speaking room for a lot of the sessions, because everyone was just happier to be outside shooting the shit with other Bitcoiners and deciding where they're going to go and get bombed as soon as the conference wrapped up. I don't know how you fix that, but I mean, I think Rialto, which is the location this year, is going to do their part by serving on site, right? I'm pretty sure that might help. Is that true?
Well, I think a lot of people want to come to meet with other Bitcoiners, right? And just kind of chat, right? I think for the, like the headline speakers, the really big names that everyone knows, then we had no problem. That was full. Everybody wants to see, Foss and Lawrence Lepard on stage together, right? When it was kind of some lesser known names, I think that was true, right? Some people would rather just chat. And you know what? All the power to them. I don't think we want to prevent that from happening, right? If you're going to pay for your ticket to come have a good time and just kind of chat with other Bitcoiners, do it. That sounds awesome. That's honestly, I'd probably do that for a lot of the time too. A lot of people kind of have the thought of, well, we can listen to a lot of what these people are saying on different podcasts and things like that too. And that's true, right? So if you want to come and just hang out with all the people that you have as friends from Twitter, do that. I think that's awesome. That's what I do. That's why one of the big reasons why I want to throw the the plate licking after party, is basically to have an avenue where you can meet all these NIMs in real life, and get on a first name basis a little bit, and have a couple drinks and have fun, right? And I don't know, to each their own, right? So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point there, Plate. Let's talk a bit about some of the big wins last year. I thought you guys did such a bang up job getting everything lined up as far as scheduling. I thought the way that you guys planned the conference, as far as like times people were speaking and the expectation that if you show up there sort of, fashionably late at the conference, you're going to get a big name speaker to start your day and have a few other big names along the way. I thought that was really good. I also have to say that the networking event the day before the conference last year with the speakers and with a couple of the VIPs, that was awesome. Are you planning on doing something similar this year? Or like, is there anything pre-conference that ticket holders should be looking for as far as like maybe getting acclimated with the site, or just talking to people that they want to meet before the conference or whatever, something like that going on in Montreal?
Yeah. So there's a couple of good pre-event events, I guess. The one is the hockey game, right? I don't know if you're a hockey player. Are you playing?
I am not playing, but I have played I'm Canadian. Of course I've played hockey, but no, I'm not going to play.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So basically there's a Canada versus US hockey game. So that's on the Wednesday, and that's at what is it? I think 3. Yeah, that's at 3, and that's Hodler's official.
He's got the agenda. He's got the agenda right in front of him. I love it.
I got it. I had to make my my special notes. So there's that. Then there's going to be the free event, which is more of like a Bitcoin 101. Bring your friend who's a pre-coiner or whatever, right? So they can come and learn a little bit about Bitcoin. But there's going to be a lot of the speakers and a lot of people there because that's free, and that's at the Rialto as well. So you can go there, just to make sure you know where the theater is and what you're doing and everything like that. But that will be mostly networking too. I think there's a couple speakers for that portion, but I'm going to be there just to talk to everybody, right? And find out where the afters will be.
We got to talk about the plate licking after party, both the 23 and 24 editions, I think, just to cover all our bases here at some point, but we'll do that later. The schedule for this year is filling out pretty quickly. I see you're still announcing some speakers, still announcing some time frames and whatnot, some scheduling times. Talk to me about the biggest names you got. Saifedean hits me sort of first off the top of the dome as a monster name that you guys are able to rally for this year. Who else should people be thinking about? Who's the top line?
Yeah, so Saifedean was awesome. That was kind of came from a tweet basically saying, "Hey, Saif, we need you," and then he actually answered, which was pretty cool. But yeah, Saif. The other big one is Francis Pulio, right? From Bull Bitcoin. He was great last year. I think you interviewed him last year, actually, didn't you?
Yeah, I was on there on stage with him.
Yeah. So he'll be again, which is always good. This year we have as MC Joe Nakamoto.
Yeah, Joe Hall,
which is a big one. Another big one is Daniela Cambone. So she's actually more of a gold person, but she was the one who did that. Remember the debate with Saylor and that gold guy? They debated Bitcoin versus gold.
Yeah.
So that's her. She's fairly famous, right? BTC Sessions, right? We've got Brad Mills. We have Nico from Simply Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, before I forget, Simply Bitcoin is going to be live streaming this year. So that's a big difference from last year. I guess one comment that we got is if people who couldn't come, they'd want to at least see the content online. And other conferences do that too. So that's what Simply Bitcoin's setting that up this year. So if people can't make it for whatever reason, they still can, catch up online. But then Luke Broyles, right? He was there last year. We have Lawrence Lepard. A cool one that we caught a little bit of heat for, but I'm actually excited for is I think it's pronounced Joel Lightbound, who is the Liberal MP for a riding somewhere in Quebec.
Why'd you catch heat for that? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, people are like, "Oh, how could you have a liberal in the conference with us?" And it's like, well, he's pro Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is for everyone. You know what I mean? Political beliefs, right? Whatever, doesn't really matter to me. I'm more concerned about your beliefs surrounding Bitcoin. But you know who I'm talking about, hey? Who had the epic October 31st nod to Satoshi in the white paper?
Yep.
Yeah, just awesome. Neil Jacobs, Isabella Santos, who's new. She's started that. I guess it's kind of like a media company with Julian, who was there last year. Madex, Jessica Hodler, Ali from Tahini's. So it's a lot of cool people. I'm pretty excited to hopefully be able to meet some of these guys and shake some hands and get to know some of them.
Do you guys really try and do Canadian focus when you pick speakers? Because there's a lot of Canucks in there, or are we just punching above our weight? Like, what is the thinking when you decide who to try and grab and who to leave on the sideline?
So both. I always say Canadians in the Bitcoin space punch above our weight, and that's because of the 1-to-1 ratio of tyranny to a desire for Bitcoin. So we're Canadians are punching above their weight, but also we want a lot of Canadians too, right? It's the Canadian Bitcoin conference. We want to make sure that we're representing and everything like that, and it's also just easier to get people who are a little closer too. Some people couldn't come just because it's like, okay, I can't travel that weekend, things like that.
Who is the, I mean, I'm asking you to go a little bit business on air here, but who is the most elusive guy or girl that just you want but couldn't get? It's got to be Sailor. So maybe don't use Sailor. Who else did you guys reach out to that you just couldn't get a response from? Schiff? Did you reach out to Schiff?
I don't think we did reach out to Schiff. Maybe Dan did or something. I didn't. You know what? I really wanted. I'm forgetting his name right now. Leclerc, Dylan Leclerc.
Oh yeah.
And it was so elusive that I was like, yeah, it can probably work, but then couldn't get a hold of him for a while, and then months later, say, okay, no, it won't work. So I think I even told you kind of off the record before that we had him because I thought we did, but then we kind of got the bad news that he couldn't come. So that was one that would be awesome, right? Because he's huge, of course.
Yeah.
He has one of the best monologues. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think it's actually Daniela Cambone who's interviewing him. But one of the best monologues as to why Bitcoin only. We got to YouTube that clip when you guys are done, or link it in the show notes or something like that. So
yeah,
good.
we should. It is a good clip. Daniela Cambone's from Montreal, right? She was supposed to be there last year, but had to cancel. I think her kid was sick or something like that, so she couldn't be on stage with Greg and someone else. I forget who else. It's fun. One of the things I noticed last year about the conference, I'll kind of transition to this as a topic. Last year, I noticed that there was a lot more older people, I'll say, than I was expecting to see. A lot more people who are sort of, more gray hair than you and me, for sure. Although I'm gaining on them every day here. What is the demographic, sort of what the sales demographics been like for you guys this year? Are you selling a lot to the 25 to 40 crowd? Are you selling older than that? Do you even record that kind of stuff? I'd be curious because I think more and more people are finding that Bitcoin can play a role in even a conservative investment portfolio for people who don't want to go Bitcoin only. And most of those people, especially the ones with money, are, maybe not quite blue plate, but 50, 55, something like that. What do you like? What are you seeing on the sales side as far as age, or do you care? Or do you look?
Yeah, so I'd say it's probably similar, to be honest. Maybe a little younger in Montreal, I'd say, but similar. And my thought around that is I think a lot of younger people, they'd rather stack than spend money on a ticket to come, right? Especially if they have to travel, especially if they have to get in a hotel and things like that, right? But also, I think younger people are a little more connected on Twitter and on the Bitcoin Twitter space. There's quite a few people, believe it or not, who are so concerned about OPSEC that they don't want to go to a meetup or they don't want to go to a conference where they have to, give their email or anything like that, right? Whereas I think the older generation, a lot of them just, they don't know any friends who are Bitcoiners and they want to learn, right? They want to learn, okay, how do I set up this hardware wallet, right? And they kind of really want and crave that, face-to-face interaction with others. So I think that's why we see it. You do see a lot of people who are newer to Bitcoin, who are older and who want to come and, pay money to come to a conference.
How do I feel about OPSEC? I don't know. I think that last year I met a bunch of people who were NIMs online and they basically gave me their first names right away, right? Like, you don't really have to pry any information out of anybody. The OPSEC thing for me has always been a weird one. What is it like for you? I mean, I know your first name, but you don't often share it online, like anywhere. So you obviously have some concern about it. I mean, how do you view it as a guy who's, running a NIM account. I mean, unless anyone can identify you by your stovetop, in which case you're fucked. But how do you think about OPSEC?
Yeah, OPSEC is like always a tough challenge for me because on one hand, I want to have complete OPSEC. I'd rather no one know what I look like, no one know what my name is, right? No one know even in what city I live and things like that. Because obviously the fear is the $5 wrench attack, right? Even on that tweet, I said, okay, I'm going to Joey's house on Tuesday. Yeah. What prank should I pull? And someone says, $5 wrench attack. It's like, all right.
Wait a minute.
So that's always the fear. But I think generally if we're going to be, an appropriate level of worried about OPSEC, most people aren't going to come to your house and hold you hostage and make you give up your keys, right? Unless you're known to really have a big honeypot, right? Yeah. And I don't think that's the case for maybe people, maybe you, but not people like me. So I think we're probably okay. So OPSEC is kind of a bonus, but I don't bend over that far backwards for it.
No, I think that's the right approach. And you're right. If I was really that rich, I wouldn't be doing a podcast, I'll tell you that much. So why don't we finish on this year's conference with some of the stuff that maybe people are not paying enough attention to on the schedule that should be something they look at. I kind of want to see the decentral mining thing this year. I didn't stay for it last year, but I have a little bit more interest in home mining now than I did before, even though I don't have a miner. I just like the idea of like decentralizing and getting away from these like stupid industrial setups. What are people not looking at enough on the schedule, in your opinion?
Yeah, so that's a big one with Decentral. They're doing the build your own miner, right? So basically, they're bringing all the gear. You go for a little class basically where they take you step by step to put it together yourself, and then you're walking home with a Bitcoin miner, right? So last year it was sold out like instantly. So this year we're doing 2 sessions. So I believe there's still tickets left. So if someone's interested for that, that's definitely a good one. Beyond that, we are also doing 1-day tickets. So, some people can't go for whatever reason. They have a bachelor party or different things. You can still go for 1 day.
Wait a minute. This is the most common excuse you've heard. I can't go for both days. I have a bachelor party.
Believe it or not, I've gotten that more than once. Yeah. I think one was for last year though, but yeah, I've definitely got that before.
Oh, fuck.
So yeah, there's the 1 day. What else? There's the party. You got to come to the after party, right?
Let's talk about the PLP after party. Last year it was at some bar. I don't know where it was. And I got to tell you, it was a riot. I had a blast. I was up so late that night trying to get food with D. I don't know if you were there or not, the pizza place. Me. Yeah, there's me, D, Brandon Keys from Green Candle, a few other people trying to get pizza and wings from this place that just forgot about us basically. And we were there till like 3:30 or 4 in the morning. It's just like not happy and also very hungry. But the bar we went to for your after party was awesome. I think you guys gave us some tickets. The conference organizers were all there. Basically every person who was at the conference who was like under the age of 50, including the speakers who fit that demographic, were all there having beers. Some of the wives were there too. It was great to see. Talk to me a bit about why you decided last year to put your name and face on a party after the conference. I really still want to hear the origin story here.
The after party was one of the few things that Dan and Manuela truly trusted me to take care of by myself.
They didn't want to do it. Let's get out of here, dude.
So I said, all right, I'll put my name on it. But no, this year it's going to be very similar, right? It's going to be lit AF. There's going to be there's more drinks, right? Drinks are just cheaper in Montreal than Toronto.
Yeah.
But also Bull Bitcoin sponsored last year, the after party in particular. This year too, but they've kind of stepped it up as well. So we're basically first drinks on Bull Bitcoin. But as far as the speakers coming, that was something that was very important to me. Because that's what I really want out of a Bitcoin conference is, have a beer with BTC sessions, right? Stuff like that. So I really made it a point last year. I'm going to do the same this year of really DMing these guys and saying like, hey, come up to the after party. It's going to be great. I'll buy you a beer if you come, that type of thing. But the venue I think is going to be a little better this year, right? Pub St. Paul is that's where the Montreal Bitcoin meetups happen.
Oh, okay.
So everyone in Montreal already knows of it. So it's going to be conference attendees, sure, but you don't have to be a conference attendee to go to the after party. So I think a lot of people will filter in there as well. But same thing, it's going to be nine until close. I don't think Praveen is coming, so it might not be quite as rowdy as last time, but it should be a good time still.
I have not talked about that Praveen thing on the air. I probably won't do it tonight either. But if you see me in Montreal, I'll tell you about it, listener, viewer. Okay, so where the real question about the Montreal after party then is, where's the after party? Because there's at least a couple of bars in Montreal that don't close. So we got to think about where we're going at 2:00, right? Stereo is one option. I actually heard from the Bull Bitcoin guys. I don't even know if I'm supposed to share this, but I'm going to. So sorry, boys. The guy who owns Stereo is a Bull Bitcoin client. The business saves in Bitcoin. So we could patronize his business. Now I got to, I'll warn you that I would imagine that Stereo is going to be full of people with very narrow pupils, and there's going to be a lot of water being handed out that time of night, but could still be a good time. I don't know. Are you up to that? Can you make a guarantee that you will attend the after party, the CBP after party at Stereo Lounge, sponsored by nobody because there's nothing being served?
Well, first of all, I thought the after party was at your hotel room.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm a little too old for that, buddy. I don't think I can do it anymore.
So Stereo, that sounds like it's like a club, like
it's definitely a club. Yeah, I have some buddies who've been there. Yeah, it's a different vibe than a pub for sure.
Yeah.
Tell people, okay, so the pub St. Paul. The one thing I tried to figure out when I was booking my hotel was where the fuck am I going to stay that's central to everywhere? And there's not that many options, honestly. So where's Pub St. Paul in like, with Rialto as the contextual center hub? How far is Pub St. Paul?
I looked it up. I think it's like an 18-minute drive or something like that. So basically, the Rialto is kind of more like west to center Montreal, I suppose. Okay. This is coming from someone who's been to Montreal like 4 times in his life. But then the pub is more on the east side. I think it's pretty close to the water, to be honest. So it's about 18 minutes. So if you can find somewhere in between there, right? I'll just put on Google Maps and say what hotel is right in between.
There's no rooms left anywhere. If you don't have a hotel room already, you're SOL. You're gonna have to sleep in a tent. There'll probably be some other people joining you after today's budget, actually. So maybe you'll have good company. Let's talk about the Halving. Halving is this weekend. You are going to Innocente, I think, right? That's your plan?
Innocente, yeah. That's a Canadian Bitcoin Conference sponsoring. So we're going to give away, I think, 1 or 2 free tickets or something like that.
Nice.
But that's going to be a good party too. So that's basically all day. I think it starts at like 3 or something. Yeah. That's in Waterloo. And that's going to be awesome, right? We made a playlist. And it's got all the Mark and Cam and stuff like that. But what's that guy who's playing the bongo and his cat's grooving beside him?
I know the meme. I don't know who he is though.
It's all songs like that on this playlist. So it's or the Creed, "Can You Take Me Higher?" That's on the playlist too. So, but basically, it's a party, right, to celebrate. It's New Year's Eve that happens only every 4 years that so far historically has made us all wealthier. Yeah. So it's a big reason to celebrate. Sponsored by Bull too. Bull's buying her first drinks there. So that'll be a good one. I imagine that will get pretty full as well. You're coming to that, aren't you?
I have football at 4 on Saturday, so I'll be done by 5. I could probably be there by like 6:30 if I tried. Maybe I'll check in on the Corn Lords and see what the state of affairs is over there. Now the real question is, what are you going to do if the Halving is on Friday?
It won't be. I have faith.
It looks like it's going to be on. It looks like it's going to be on Friday. It looks like it's going to be on Friday.
No. Something will happen. People will turn their miners off to put it to 420. I also have faith that's going to be 69K at that time too.
This episode is off the rails. Okay, forget about the Innocente one. I gotta be fair here. There's another Halving party. I think that D is maybe not organizing, but a part of. in Toronto, right? Where is that one? Do you know any the details about that? I should have asked him. I didn't ask him, obviously, but if you came down to Hamilton, I was gonna tell him to come over and sit in the other chair. And we would just all shoot the shit together. But if you know about that one, talk to me about that one too. We gotta let people know if they're not coming in Ascente, there's other options.
I don't know the details. If you wanted the details on that one, the best thing would be their Telegram group, which I think is just called Ontario Bitcoiners or something like that. I'll find it after the show and I'll tweet it out so that everybody can still see it. I can't go, so I didn't even pay attention to it. But that one should be good too. D always has healthy meetups going on. So that'll be a good one too. I think it's the 18th, the Thursday.
Oh, so it's not even on the weekend. So he's coming into Sente too. Okay, so you could actually do both. If you're really like deranged, demented, and short on social relationships in the real world, you can do both having parties, one at Safari and one at Innocente. Do you think that the having even matters anymore? Like, this is not a question I was prepared or prepared you to answer, but I'm not even giving it matters that much anymore, honestly. I think people kind of know about it. I might be in the priced in camp. Where do you sit on that?
No, I disagree big time. So basically, the only people who know about the halving are Bitcoiners, right? Crypto people know about it just because it kind of pumps their bags as well. But if you ask like some random, portfolio manager, he doesn't know what the halving is, right? Or he doesn't understand the significance either. So I think if are you asking if it's priced in? Is the halving priced in?
You could answer it that way if you want. I think some PMs do know after that ad from TD the other day that the halving is coming. I don't know if they know exactly what the mechanisms are involved in that, but yeah, I don't know. Is it priced in? Sure. You answer that. Is the halving priced in? Let's hear it.
Yeah. So the halving would only be priced in if we're at full 100% global adoption. Because if you knew about the halving and that this is getting more scarce every single 4 years, right? No matter what happens, then you would be all in on Bitcoin, right? So I don't think it's even close to priced in. It's as priced in as we. What percentage of the world are Bitcoiners? 1%.
Yeah, max.
I'd say it's 1% priced in then.
Yeah. So you're saying if this halving is priced in, then all future halvings have to be priced in, and we just have to assume that it's all or nothing. That's the stance over there.
That's the way I look at it. Yeah, looking at in absolutes from first principles. If you understand the halving, you're all in.
I gotta think about this. We'll have you back on another time to talk about the philosophy of the halving. So let's move now to, I guess, what do you make of these other conferences that are going on? I don't want you to take pot shots at BTC Nashville, the BTC Magazine conference, because I have Bailey and Mark Goodwin coming on in a few weeks, and Len is already refusing to do any shows with me that week at all. So, do you guys have a view in the Canadian conference camp about what you should and shouldn't do in terms of funding a conference, in terms of speakers you get, in terms of turning off part of the maybe 1% maximalist crowd in favor of cash or support or something like that? I don't know how to phrase the question, but I think you probably get the gist. I'm curious because I don't think you guys did that at all last year, honestly. And there must be a reason you didn't do it. I'm not sure what the story is this year, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. I should mention that Pleb is not the principal organizer of the conference. Okay. I'm very much putting him on the spot here just because the question came to me and I want to ask him about what he thinks about these other conferences too.
Yeah, no. So basically we kind of had the conversation earlier on last year. Do we want to be Bitcoin only, and to what degree? Like, are we going to accept sponsorships from, some of these other places that maybe are more casino-like and have, other coins and everything like that? And the original thought was like, no, we don't. We want to be Bitcoin only, right? Because that is the long-term best thing to do, in our opinion, right? Is that okay? Maybe if you're supporting altcoins and taking donation or sponsorships from altcoins and things like that. Maybe it's a little easier this year, right, to turn a profit, right, and get more people through the door, right, because they want to hear about Solana and ETH and stuff like that. But I think we're kind of operating on the faith that Bitcoin is likely going to be the only thing that will be around for the long term, right? So it's really, building the goodwill with Bitcoiners, and knowing that that's a longer term investment, right? To not diversify your holdings into or your sponsors or your speakers or whatever into shitcoins. So now, that being said, that's still hard to do, right? It's tough to turn a profit for a conference, right? It's expensive to rent a place in Toronto and to do everything like that. And then not to mention just vetting everyone, vetting every speaker, vetting every sponsor takes time too. So we weren't perfect last year. I think we're closer to perfect this year on the Bitcoin only rule. But that's definitely a conscious decision that was made to say, okay, let's invest our image and our conference in something that's going to be around for decades and not the next quick thing.
How do you make the decision? Like I'll pull two names. Like I'll be specific. You don't have to be specific, but I will be. I think about two names you guys had last year, both of whom I think are overwhelmingly positive for the Bitcoin space, but don't operate in Bitcoin only companies. One is Maurizio and one is Carlo Campisi from ShakePay. And those guys, I think, really get the Bitcoin thing, although they work for companies that dabble in other stuff to make a profit. They have to earn money somehow, and I don't fault them for doing that whatsoever. And like I said, you won't find two guys who are more committed to the Bitcoin mission than those two guys, except maybe Francis and the Bull guys, but that's a story for another time. Where do you guys draw the line there? Like it's hard for me to even think about telling either of those guys, yeah, you can't speak at the conference because Ledin does ETH loans and ShakePay sells Ethereum. Like that's not enough to tell them they can't speak. They should be allowed to speak, and they're doing good work for both the Canadian Bitcoin ecosystem and legislatively as well. These guys are fighting some of the sort of tip of the spear battles as far as what's allowed and what's not allowed in Canada and other places in the world too. In Maurizio's case, so how do you make that decision? Like, do you guys have like a conversation? Who's the sort of loudest voice in the room there saying we got to have these guys? This other token stuff is not enough to tell them no. They're net positive for Bitcoin easily.
Yeah, I think there's basically just a because we're all in different cities. Hey, so like
continents even, right? I'm pretty sure. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically a group chat, right? Where we're kind of saying, okay, this person wants to be involved in this way. Do we think that's okay, despite this and this and that? And then we just kind of all throw in our opinions on, okay, I think it'll be okay. Honestly, there's been more than once where I've been like, you know what? Let me ask my group chat of Signal friends what they think, right? And then sometimes the decision is made partially on that, to be honest, right? Because we have to get kind of a sample size of Bitcoiners and their opinion too. But it's kind of true. So like last year we had the one company, I don't even remember what it was, who sponsored, and they were kind of like an exchange that offered all different types of coins. And at the time we were like, okay, whatever, let's have them sponsor. But then later it was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have. Some people are kind of saying like, how can you say you're Bitcoin only when these guys are sponsoring? Which is true. I don't blame them on that. But then it's like, okay, so where do we draw the line, right? Because ShakePay has ETH, right? Does that mean we're gonna not take a sponsorship or not take a speaker from one of the biggest Bitcoin companies in Canada? Mm-hmm. So it is just a conversation. We take a case by case basis and try and feel the room out, try and read the room out as far as Bitcoiners in Canada, and really just doing our best. Sometimes we end up having to take some decisions back and change our minds on things, but it's a process. We do as best as we can, and if we have to change something later on, then we do.
No, I think you guys have done a great job, Plate. I was happy to be involved last year. I'm looking forward to being on stage again this year with you guys. Before we move on to the last topic here, tell people if there's anything I've missed about the conference that you want to share that they should be paying attention to, stuff that they should be excited about, reasons to get a ticket. Is there any speakers coming up you want to announce? Take a minute or two and convince people who are on the fringe here.
Yeah, I think I've mostly talked about the important things. But really, I think, you need to come and just see what it's like being in a room full of Bitcoiners, right? I think last year we had like 350 people there. That's tickets sold, so then plus volunteers and speakers and things like that. Mm-hmm. this year we're expecting more. So I think there's a certain power to just knowing, when you're surrounded by normies all day, every day, right? And your only chance to glimpse into a little bit of reality is to go on your phone, right? And go on Twitter. It's a big breath of fresh air to go and see, okay, there are hundreds of people who understand what's going on, understand that, our society and our lives are not the way they should be. And maybe the root cause of that is the money. And then just to everyone know that, they're focused on the same solution. It's very encouraging to be in a group of people like that. So I'd say that's the biggest reason. And then also you might be able to hear Saifedean, go off on someone or be toxic in real life. I almost want to invite some shitcoiners there just so Saifedean can rip on them a little.
I think it would be great. Once again, congratulations on all the good work you guys have done this year, last year. I'm looking forward to it, and everyone else should be too. Plate is right. There's an energy in that room, and energy at the bar, and an energy at the after party, and an energy in the social areas. It's just unmatched, man. And if you are a guy who likes Bitcoin meetups, I guarantee you will like the conference 10 times as much. There's just so much good stuff going on, so much good networking, and so many good people who, at some point will be fighting the same battle you are fighting in your locality, in theirs. And you want to get aligned with these people as quickly as possible. Let's move on to the last thing here, okay? How much weight have you lost in the last 100 and maybe not 100, let's say 2 years? How much weight have you lost in the last 2 years? Because when I first met you 2 years ago at the Shake Pay thing, I didn't think you were overweight at all, but you got shredded over the last little while. How much are you down?
So I have always been the type of guy to, probably since I was 22, to gain and lose 30 pounds every year.
30?
Yeah.
Wow.
25, 30 pounds every single year, because, and I blame carbs. I think carbs and sugar is completely evil for me, at least. Basically I would, get in shape over the summer months. I used to do a lot of keto and stuff like that when I was younger, before I met the carnivore crowd. Mm-hmm. And that worked for me. I'd feel good, right? But then, okay, Thanksgiving would come around. Okay, now I got to eat whatever's at Thanksgiving. And then it's okay, now Halloween came around. There's chocolate everywhere. Okay, and then, okay, now it's Christmas. Okay, now it's New Year's. And then all of a sudden it's February 2nd and I'm 235 pounds, right? So then I'm okay, feeling all guilty and hating myself. Well, how did I let myself get so fat? And then so I go and do it all over again, right? So really, I attribute this a little bit to Bitcoin and Bitcoiners on Twitter. People just eat meat instead, right? I eat meat and eggs, right? Recently, I started adding onions and a couple other things too.
You know what? We know. Okay, we know. You've been eating
you see the pictures. But this is the first year of my life where I went through Thanksgiving and Christmas without gaining any weight. Right. So that's the most encouraging thing for me ever, that I can just continue, and it's not a big setback and then restarting again. Right. Just going to the gym, just eating my, same meals that I eat every day, and feeling good. Right. So I think my heaviest was probably about 235 pounds. Onions. Boomer's mad at me. So heaviest was probably about 235. And then I was actually down to about 178 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I think on your recommendation, a couple other people, I started taking creatine when I started actually trying to go to the gym to try and get bigger. So I started taking creatine and put on 5 pounds right away, like a week, put on 5 pounds. So that's changed a little bit. And then I've just expanded and eating a couple other things beyond just meat and eggs. So now I sit right under 200 pounds, I'd say. And I feel good. I think I can maintain like this and kind of just stay like this. And if I gain any weight, hopefully it'll be muscle and nothing else.
Okay. So tell people, I have never been so committed to my diet that I've just gone full carnivore. I got a major sweet tooth. I still put a little sugar in my coffee. Sometimes I have my coffee with chocolate milk. I'm really breaking all the rules on my end a lot of the time. But one thing I find is that if I eat my meals, if I eat well for my big 2 or big 3 meals, most of the time, okay. And I don't have a really weight fluctuation problem. But I'm curious, how do you manage to eat like beef and eggs every meal every day? And I'm not asking about like the taste. I like the taste of beef and eggs. I eat beef and eggs a lot. I just don't eat it, exclusively. I'm more asking like, I've been out with you at restaurants a couple times. You're married with a couple of kids, like you got a busy life. I'm sure you do stuff for work. I'm sure you go to Thanksgiving and are not like sitting at the kids' table eating, chicken fingers or whatever, going, I'm carnivore, I can't eat stuffing. Like you must be doing the other stuff, I think. So how are you doing it? How do you find it? Like what strategies would you offer people? Because I think you're right. There's a lot of new people in Bitcoin who are seeing for the first time some serious, conversations around health, fitness, nutrition, longevity, and you're living it. So what advice do you have for these people who are thinking about getting on this train and making a long-term change?
Yeah. So I think like I wish I could be like you, to be honest, and just like eat healthy and then sometimes eat some other stuff. I think a big problem for me is if I go and I have some ice cream or something like that, I can't just stop at that. I swear, that's why I say carbs and sugar is evil for me. It's like, if I have some sugar, I turn into a crackhead for more sugar. And like all of a sudden it's like, I need another piece of bread. Where can I find that? You know what I mean? So once I just kind of switch to just saying, okay, in the morning and for lunch, in the morning I cook up a pound of ground beef and like 8 to 11 eggs. Mm-hmm. And then I eat half of it for breakfast and then half for lunch. And then in the afternoon I have a steak for dinner. And so same thing every day. That is sustainable for me. Once I started eating that, I didn't have cravings for bread and carbs and other things like that. If I'm out and I can't cook, I go to Wendy's and get like a burger with no bun, right? And I just eat it like that, and it's great. I love it. And it's funny. My daughters are 1 and 3. They just eat patties. They don't. If you hand them a burger, they won't eat it. They don't like the bread. They just say, no, I just want the patty. So they're just munching on it like that. So I would just say to anyone to try it, right? I think you'll feel better almost instantly. Like a couple of days of not eating any crap, I think you'll feel much better. I actually told you, interesting little anecdote. I told you my wife was sick yesterday and today, and that's why I couldn't come to Hamilton.
Yeah.
So she doesn't eat like me. She eats more normal food. We must have had like a stomach bug come through our house or something like that because she puked for like 5 hours straight. Last night, so a day after her, I started to get it a little bit too. And I'm starting to feel crappy and stuff like that. I just puked one puke, and then I was better, right? So I attribute that to all I've eaten for the past 100 days is steak and eggs. You know what I mean? Like you don't have any bad, toxins or bad things to throw up. So just one little puke. Don't ask me what it looked like. But then I was better. I felt great after that.
I do.
So I would encourage anyone.
I like the story. Tell people a bit about the cost of these things. In my head, one of the things that I dealt with when my wife, when I first moved in, I told her, coming from my dad's house, I was just eating nothing but eggs and meat most of the time because it was easy, right? And even when I was hungover, I would just throw ground beef in the pan with eggs and throw it on a pita if I was really feeling fancy. I think the thing that throws a lot of people off is when you say you have a steak every day for dinner, meat and eggs for lunch and breakfast. It sounds expensive, but it's not, is it? Tell people about it.
Yeah. So I have 2 answers to that. So the first answer is it costs more, but if you start eating beef and eggs every meal, your brain clicks into a higher gear, right? And you're going to be, I'd almost guarantee you're going to be making more money within 3 months. You're going to get a raise.
Not financial advice. Not financial advice.
This is financial advice. You're going to get a promotion. If there's no opportunity for growth at your employer, you're going to find yourself itching for a new job. I kind of find myself sometimes a little bit like on edge and like a little antsy and like anxious almost. I'm realizing like it's because I've been eating like a caveman for months. I have I feel like I'm going to get attacked by a dinosaur soon. So that's number one is I think, yes, it will cost you more, but the benefits will outweigh that because you'll end up making more. If that's just me being biased and, superstitious or something like that, it can get a little expensive. Basically what I do is I buy stuff when it's on sale and I use my chest freezer, right? So most recently I bought, 50 pounds of meat or something from D, because he's got his family's farm or whatever it is. Or before that, I would just go to the grocery store, get medium ground beef, when it's on sale. And then you just pack it up, smush it thin so that it's faster to defrost in the morning. And then I just have a freezer full of meat, right? And then steak, same thing. When it's on sale, that's when you buy a lot. Sometimes if there's no good sales, I end up eating only ground beef for a while and not steaks. But it's really not that bad. The other thing too is then you're not snacking in between. You're not going out to eat and having, chips and a couple beers and stuff like that. Because it's not what you eat, right? So I think overall it probably stays close to the same price if you can stay, shopping when stuff's on sale.
I don't know if you had a beer last time I saw you. I think you just drank dark liquor on the rocks. You don't drink beer anymore, do you?
Yeah, I haven't had a beer I had a beer at a friend's wedding last year, and it gave me the worst stomach pain of my life. The whole next day was written off. So I can't drink beer. I'll have vodka sodas or even rum and diet is fine for me too. I don't drink a lot. Usually I drink a lot, but not very often.
Right.
So I drink like that, and it's good. You know what? When I used to drink beer, I would drink more often because it's so chill and relaxing on a hot day and stuff like that. If I can't drink beer, I find myself just opting for water instead. So I think that has helped with my health as well.
I think that's true. Play, you've been a great guest. We covered a lot of topics today. There's a wide ranging interview. Not often on the CBP do we jump from silo to silo like that. Tell people before you go where they can find you, where they can find out about the conference, where they can find out about these meat vending service, whatever. The floor's all yours.
Yeah, so it's Hoddle D on Twitter, or if you want some meat. But if you want to know more about the conference, it's just Canadian Bitcoin Conf, CONF.com. We have all the speakers, the agenda listed there. To be honest, I would recommend that people go to therialto.ca just to take their virtual tour to look at this building. It's the building's over 100 years old, and it is some awesome, low time preference architecture. Just go and cruise around it a bit. The main theater room is amazing. So I would go there too. You can find the conference on Twitter. It's at CDN Bitcoin Conf. And then I'm on Twitter at plateliquor_21M. That's us. That's us. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be on the CBP again. I think I love what you guys are doing lately. I've stopped listening for a while and started again.
How dare you?
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. You guys do well, and you got the great production value in your background and everything. It's great.
I can't wait for you to come see it, buddy. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. In any case, take care, everyone. Don't do anything stupid. Len will be on tomorrow with Sunnyside Digital. Adios. Great job.
Are you a fan of the old school NHL 94 game on the Genesis or SNES? Why not check out my show, the NHL 94 podcast? From tournaments and tactics to the people who make up this community. Check it out wherever you listen to podcasts or find it on YouTube.